It's Friday. Listen, guys, you only have a few hours until the weekend starts, but why don't you just go ahead, spend your Friday here with the Bluebloods? We start the episode with a small celebration of sorts. Tonight, we're recording on Thursday. We're going to celebrate the return of regular season sporting events tonight. And then we're going to move on, discuss what we learned from the NCAA's Congressional Meeting yesterday. And then we're going to move on to discuss the latest updates from across the United States in terms of high school football and what they're going to do state to state about this upcoming season. And of course, guys, you already know what's coming. We're wrapping the show up with another recruiting update. And we had to roll up to, Washington, all the way across the country and check in on the Washington Huskies. We have a full show today, guys. So let's kick it off. So we are going to start with an unconventional segment, like I said, but I think it's an important one we need to address. And me and Brandon also think it has far-reaching effects on college football. Tonight, the 23rd, is opening day for the MLB, and next Thursday, the NBA officially begins its run to the finals with an 8-game stretch before they start the playoffs. You may be wondering, why does this matter for college football? But it is important because sports are finally back, and this gives everyone just a small hope that college football will be back sooner rather than later. So, Brandon, why don't you tell the listeners what you're looking forward to most, and how does this give you hope for the college football season?
Oh my goodness, Zach. So if anybody watched baseball last night, since it's already Friday, you all know. We obviously don't know how the Yankees Nationals game turned out, but we all know the Dodgers beat the Giants 11-2. Not even close. The Giants suck. So it's a lot of fun to watch always. Go Dodgers. But yeah, man, it's very exciting, obviously. We've been stuck in this bubble for so long. As a matter of fact, we're still kind of stuck in this bubble. This is regular season baseball, and we're this excited about it. That's nuts. Who would have ever thought? Not a lot of regular season baseball fans out there. I get it. I watch regular season baseball like an insane person, even when there's not coronavirus amidst. But no, man, it's so exciting, and it shows you what can really happen when leagues take this sort of thing seriously, and they take the proper protocol. They take the proper steps to open back up. We see with the NBA. We see what the NBA is doing. A week, I guess a week from yesterday, if you're listening on Friday, the NBA is starting back. We've seen what they've done, even though there are some people inviting others into the bubble and contaminating things in more than one way, I guess you could say. But they've taken the proper steps. They're secluding themselves. They're staying away from others. Baseball's doing a little bit differently. They're still traveling to sites. I know tonight's games are in Washington, and I can't remember where the Dodgers game is. I want to say it's in Los Angeles, but that means that that the Yankees have to travel to D.C., the Giants have to travel to L.A. So that's a little, iffy, but they found a way. There's no fans in the stands. Players aren't allowed to spit, which I don't know how that's even going to be possible, but they're doing it. I don't know what the punishment is either, but obviously they've taken steps in the right direction. Players wear masks when they can. So they're doing things to prevent the spread of the virus, and we'll obviously see how it shapes out. And I think the way that does shape out is really going to be an indicator on whether college football can really happen this season or not.
Yeah, so I'm not one of the weirdos that watch regular season baseball usually, but
that's because you're a Marlins fan.
I'm honestly probably going to watch it tonight. So Brandon, I'm not the baseball guy at all. If we had a baseball podcast, it'd be the worst podcast of all time because I know literally not a thing about baseball. But I have to ask you, right now I'm in Manhattan, Kansas. Yesterday, the big news was that the Kansas City Royals were like the first team to hit 3 Astros when they came up to bat. So over under, how many pitches do you think the Astros get hit by this season in the 60-game stretch
I
before the
mean,
playoffs.
you have to give me an over/under, and I'll tell you
I mean,
over or under.
so what would it have to be set at for you to take the over?
Oh, I mean, you could set it at 100, and I'd say over. Well, there's only 60 games. It'll be at least. I think it's gonna be 75. Give me 75. I'm taking over every single day.
Okay, and also I know this is like a controversial thing. I know this has nothing to do with college football. We'll get to that, but do you support hitting the players? Because
The
I've heard
Astros, yeah, I do.
I've heard many different opinions on that, and I mean I feel like the consensus is like, okay, you get one shot, but just don't make it up and in.
Well, it depends on who it is. If we're hitting Jose Altuve up and in, go ahead and take his teeth out. Alex Bregman, go ahead and do that. I said I'm a Dodgers fan at the top of this episode, so and those are my feelings. I don't. What do you think, Zach?
I mean, I feel like it is what it is, man. I mean, MLB always seems to police itself. So, I mean, as long as you're not hitting anyone in the face like Giancarlo Stanton got hit a few years back, take one to the side, like in the kidney, like you're good. But I want to move on. I mean, did you watch any of the NBA scrimmages?
No, I didn't honestly.
Okay, so you know how they said they were going to simulate fan sound and everything like that? Well, they have large TV boards across the baseline with video of fans from whatever the home team is for that game. And so like they'll have audio of the Heat fans and a video of the Heat fans chanting like "Let's go Heat" and defense and stuff like that. Like they actually did an amazing job not making it seem like an empty gym. It is outrageous. There are two giant video boards where it makes it feel like there's almost fans there, and the NBA is literally the gold standard in terms of handling this COVID stuff.
Yeah, honestly, I have to agree with you there because I don't know how much summer camp you've been watching. That's what they're calling. That's what they call the MLB leading up to the regular season. It's summer camp for some reason, but they also have sounds going on in the stadium, and it's pretty bad in my opinion. But yeah, the NBA, I've seen the videos of what you said. I just never watched it live or anything. They've definitely done a lot better than the MLB in my opinion.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to talk about, guys, and this sport is coming on, but I feel like it doesn't get any credit for what it's done during COVID, and that's the UFC. I mean, when the person who owns the sport goes out and buys an island off of Abu Dhabi and puts on pay-per-view events because nowhere in the US will let him schedule it. I call that dedication. And every single fight Dana White's put on Fight Island has been spectacular. I've ordered every pay-per-view and watched the live events on Fight Island, and I just want to say the UFC and NBA are leaps and bounds above these other leagues because, I mean, I can't imagine anybody else buying an island to get their sport in.
Okay, so I have to ask, did you just say that he bought an island like near Abu Dhabi or in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, it's in Abu Dhabi.
I didn't know where the location was. That's wild. He just bought an island in the UAE. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, and all the fighters just travel there the 2 days before the fights. They quarantine for 2 days and then they fight. It's what a spectacular plan. I mean, holy crap! That's what college football needs to do. Just go buy a country. All the players go. We chill and we get college football in. But guys, to circle back to college football, for me, I really feel like the NFL is the most important domino regarding college football. I think if the NFL decides they're not going to play, guys, just go ahead. The tombstone needs to be written for the 2020 college football season because if the NFL is not playing, it's not happening. I mean, for me, these sports, why this is important, why we put it in the show is because they're paving the way for college football. They're setting precedents for protocols and laying out the way for college football to properly get a season in this year. And listen, guys, I just want to warn you guys. I know some of you guys know, some of you guys might be too hopeful. There's going to be positive tests that come out. I believe there's a player on the Yankees tonight, if I'm not mistaken, that tested positive for COVID today.
I know. No, I think you're thinking of the Nationals, and that was Juan Soto.
I knew one of them. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's not playing, but they said they've been quarantining. No one else on the team tested positive, so the game's going along. So the I guess to keep it all in perspective, don't worry about the positive test. And I think there's going to be mistakes. I think there's players that are going to make mistakes, teams that are going to make mistakes. But luckily for us, college football gets to sit back and learn and then make their move. And like I said, I think it was an episode or two ago, it's better to be right than it is to be early. And that's why the SEC and Big 12 are killing this COVID. I mean, out of all the conferences in the country, I never thought I'd say the SEC and Big 12 were leaps and bounds above the other ones. But
Yeah, you tell me they're the smart guys?
Apparently, because the Big 10 tried to be early rather than right, and I think it's going to bite them real bad. Because what happens if a college football season comes to the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 are talking about doing a non-conference, like a three-way split for non-conference games, and so the playoff committee's already said they're not changing their criterion. The Big Ten's not going to get a team in, Brandon.
No, they're not.
I mean, if Alabama, Georgia, North Carolina, Miami, Clemson, if all those people have big non-conference games, like if Clemson has wins over Auburn, Texas, LSU has wins over Alabama, Florida, Miami, etc. I mean, those teams are getting in over a Big Ten or Pac-12 team that just played in conference. Because outside of Wisconsin, maybe Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota holds a lot of weight. And Michigan, I mean, what wins can Ohio State hang their hat on?
No one really. I mean, you named all the big players there.
I mean, if they beat Northwestern and Illinois, is anyone going to care?
Well, it turns out Illinois is a lot harder to beat than people think. Wisconsin.
That is true. That they did pull off a major upset, but I think Ohio State is on the verge of freaking out, because if they miss the playoffs because the Big Ten wouldn't let them play other teams, Ohio State's going to try to realign conferences. They're just going to be out. They're like, you know what, we're going independent. Y'all can have Notre Dame. That's not happening, because Ohio State's loaded this year, and they should be a playoff pick. But, man, I don't understand why you make that announcement. But, guys, we're going to move on here. We're going to get back to some college football. And yesterday, the NCAA and leaders from across I believe all the Power 5 conferences were represented. They headed to Capitol Hill for a hearing about the proposed name, image, and likeness legislation that was recently proposed by Florida, I believe, was the first state to do this. But the hearing quickly turned on the NCAA, in which multiple senators called for the NCAA to do more to so-called, quote-unquote, protect student athletes. Senator Mike Lee even went as far as to compare college athletics to a cartel, while Senator Cory Booker took it even further and said, quote, the NCAA fights tooth and nail to ensure that college athletes, specifically African Americans, are kept out of the $15 billion football industry. So, Brandon, I know we kind of talked about this earlier off air, but what was your takeaway from this hearing, and what do you think the NCAA must do to satisfy these critics that keep saying that they're taking advantage of student athletes?
Well, we might be on Cold Takes Exposed in a year or so, or whenever new rules pass in the NCAA, for how far we were against those student athletes asking for a salary and asking for insurance, etc. Because it's looking more and more like there's going to have to be a compromise made, and I think the NCAA is going to have to be the first to handle it. I mean, they obviously went into this thinking, you know what, we're going to be reinforced here. The Congress is going to be on our side. They're going to think, oh, they're student athletes, they're amateurs, they shouldn't be paid. But that's like the exact opposite of what happened, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, a cartel, man, that's a tough comparison. And just the thing that gets me is that, I've read multiple articles about this, and I know Congress is forming a committee they're going to present a bill. I believe they're aiming for September, if I remember right. And it's going to be like a basic college athlete right bill. And I'm really interested to see what comes out in that. And the thing that gets me is that listening and reading through this hearing, it's the same issue that Kublik brought up. What's going to satisfy you? What is the end goal here? Everyone's saying, oh, you're taking advantage of student athletes. Oh, you need to do this. Oh, you need to do that. But they never specify what this or that is.
Right.
And so to incite change, you have to give a list of tangible things to change. And so it's almost, and I don't understand how it got to this point. I mean, where you're comparing people to cartels and accusing the NCAA of being racist. I mean, this turned really, really bad off for the NCAA. And, I want to say this because I know we addressed the paying players last episode, but that's not the same as name, image, likeness. And I do support the name, image, likeness bill that is going through because, I mean, Brandon, so you're an LSU fan, so you probably were more cognizant of this than I was. How many commercials do you think Joe Burrow appeared in last season?
I honestly don't know, but I mean, a few at least.
I mean, and how much money do you think was made from those commercials?
I'd have to say a lot of money.
A lot, and Joe Burrow pocketed $0 off of that.
Well, that we know of.
Yeah, that we know of. I mean, if I was LSU, Joe Burrow deserves a lot of money. But I mean, and so just like, do you not think the cigar company that they have that famous picture of him smoking the cigar now? How quick would they have contacted him and offered him a sponsorship?
Oh, I mean, immediately.
And guys, name, image, likeness is not a salary, and I think that's what. And for me, so I feel like just so many people are uneducated about this, and I mean, even the senators were uneducated about this, talking about salaries, because that's not what name, image, likeness is. It's not the NCAA paying players. It's players being able to make money off their social media presence, their YouTube. Because I believe it was the UCF punter had a blog on his YouTube channel that he was making money off of, and they made him stop it when he enrolled. It was either he had to pick that or football. And with name, image, likeness, he would have been able to continue that, making money off of that while playing football. So it's not then simply paying a salary. It's that they are able to make money on the side. So Joe Burrow could have been contacted by Nike, and he would have had a sponsorship with Nike, and he was able to profit off of that. So that's the fundamental difference between name, image, likeness and pay for play. And the issue that the senators brought up that I didn't agree with, though, is Brandon. They called it. They said that it was too restrictive. That they said so. The NCAA said that if players were going to sign brand deals, it had to be the same brand that sponsored the school. So an LSU player couldn't go sign a sponsorship deal with Under Armour, or Adidas or anything. They had to sign with Nike. And the senators said that was the NCAA trying to prohibit players from reaching their full potential. And I don't agree with that. I mean, if you want a sponsorship from Under Armour, don't go play for a school that's sponsored by their rival.
Right. Absolutely.
It's a simple fix, but everyone's just, it seems like that, like once the momentum got rolling in the way of the NCAA does nothing right, I feel like it was like down a mountain, and there was, I mean, literally the NCAA could have said nothing to stop it. I mean, even I believe right at the end of the debate, or the meeting, I listened to it. One of the senators was saying that the waivers that Ohio State got their players to sign, releasing them from liability of if a player got COVID, was illegal.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and Mark Emmert said that he didn't support it, and he was like, "Well, if we go investigate it, would it find that it wasn't illegal and all this?" And he was like, "Sir, you can go investigate this. There's nothing that is illegal about it." He said, "Well, I hope your lawyers think the same thing." And like, it was very combative, the whole thing, and for me, I just feel like it's gotten completely out of hand, and I think we can all agree that the NCAA is not perfect. I mean, I don't think you're going to fight me on that. I don't think a single person who's listening is going to fight me on that, because the NCAA is definitely not perfect. but I don't think it's a cartel either. I mean,
Yeah.
so and the Senators are acting like players are being forced into things. They're like the players are forced to be at camp. The players are forced to play. They're forced to live in the best dorms on campus and receive endless gear. And it's like, I mean, and that's why I love what our guest Cole Klubik said. He was like, the players want to be on campus. Poll them. Brandon, what percentage of players do you think would vote that they would be on campus right now? I would say
Well,
98.
Well, maybe like 90. There's a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, especially big time conferences. Just pull the SEC. I would be shocked if you didn't find 100.
Yeah.
And they want to practice. They want to further their careers. I mean, if they didn't want to be out there making it to the NFL, do you think they would put themselves through that?
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's not like what they go through is. I mean, I know sometimes we make light of the situation. We're like, hey, you're getting all this stuff. Like, why don't you want to do it? I get that it's a tough process. I get that you're a student as well as an athlete, and that you have to focus on both, and that you have those early morning workouts as well as classes. But I mean, at the same time, like, these kids signed up for it. This is what they want to do. No one's making them do it, right?
Right. And I mean, so Brandon, I mean, like you graduated from college and everything. How much of your college experience would you give up just to play one season at LSU?
I mean, all 4.5 years. All 4.5 years of college.
That's what I was saying. Like, you don't even have to give me a scholarship. I would just pay myself for the chance. Make me a walk-on. Just give me a jersey. Right. That's all I need. Do you gotta give me a helmet? Just give me a jersey. I'll just chill on the sideline. I'll be that dude with the towel standing on the bench. I'm cool with that. But, I don't think Dan Mullen is going out there forcing Kyle Trask to watch film and throw and build rapport with his wide receivers by throwing a football. No. You can't convince me that these players don't want to do this. And, I don't like to be this guy at all. And, if you don't want to be a football player and you want that full college experience, you don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to workouts, then don't do it. Be a normal student, study harder, got to keep your GPA up, got to get your own scholarships based on that, and you can go rush a frat, do whatever you want, go out every night. Like, that's all good, but I don't understand how this turns so bad on the NCAA, and I really think this name, image, likeness is going to really, really put the NCAA in a bind, like you said. I think this is going to, just like Congress does, where it's a bill about environmental safety and they stick something about just I don't even know, like military force or something in the middle of it. And you're like, how did that get passed? And I think this is exactly what's going to happen with the NCAA, where it's like, this name, image, likeness needs to go through, but we're going to stick these things through pages 1,000 to 1,030 that have nothing to do with this.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's just this went really bad, guys. If you didn't go watch the highlights of this or go listen to some of what was said, man, just go listen to it, because it got tense. I was watching this and I was even kind of sweating watching it. I was like, God, man, this is tough.
I was like, wow, oh no.
Yeah, like, I felt like I did something wrong. I was like, I need to lock the door, make sure I paid my taxes. Like, I gotta hide. This is tough. But yeah, no, they've roasted this away, guys. But name, image, likeness is coming very soon, and these players are going to be able to make money off of stuff. They're going to be able to do autograph signings. They're going to be able to do stuff like that where they profit off of, I believe what Kublik called it, like that platform the university offers. They're going to be able to profit off of that in college rather than having to wait till after they graduate. And I'm fine with that. I have zero problem with that. I'm just worried that the NCAA has opened up an entire can of worms that they're not ready to address.
Yeah, I see that for sure.
But guys, enough of like just sadness and congressional meetings and stuff like that. We're going to move on to a huge announcement that came out late yesterday afternoon from the state of Alabama. Not a lot of good news doesn't come out from the state of Alabama, especially regarding high school stuff, but the Alabama High School Athletic Association has announced that Alabama high school football will begin practices next week, the 27th, and the schedule is going to be completely intact for the 2020 season. Florida followed along, did the exact same thing. High school football in Florida and Alabama are going on as planned. You know, that's huge for a lot of these players. But other states such as Washington, Texas, California, Georgia have decided to postpone their season. And some of the top recruits in the country, including the number one player in the country, Corey Foreman out of California, has expressed that he is going to skip his senior season if California keeps their season in the spring because he wants to early enroll wherever he commits. So, Brandon, what is your take on this news, and how will players who planned on early enrolling handle this?
Well, I don't know. I don't really know where I land on this because I love football, but also I feel like players and students should be safe. I'd hate for somebody. I mean, I know the majority of people that are contracting coronavirus right now aren't minors. They're not people that are in high school. I don't know. This is such a tough situation, but I don't know. I don't know why you'd go risk that sort of thing if you're going to be in college anyway. I mean, think about players that have already committed. Think about players that are going to commit, players that are going to enroll early. Why would you put yourself at risk there and risk catching this virus if you're going to go on to college and potentially onto the NFL after that? To answer your question about the players that are going to early enroll, if they're going to play in the spring, I don't see a single person, like a single player, that is planning on enrolling early, like foregoing that and playing for their high school football team in the spring. That makes no sense in my mind. Like, they've already got that offer, they've already signed the paperwork, but you're going to go play for your high school in the spring? No, I mean, get out of here. That's just not even reasonable.
No, it's not. And, I'm on the completely opposite end of Brandon. I know exactly how I feel about this. I think I've been vocal about this on the podcast, and I'm excited that some states are moving forward with this. I addressed it that these guys' careers are important, and these games have to be played. I mean, a half is a real word here. And we're talking about some kids' opportunity at a free education, which they wouldn't get otherwise.
Yeah.
There's gyms all around the country that are probably being overlooked right now. I mean, Brandon, no star recruits right now in the NFL or recently in the NFL: Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Chris Harris, Thomas Davis, Michael Bennett, Ben Roethlisberger. You even got 2-star recruits who might have a scholarship to a smaller school but are being overlooked with T.Y. Hilton, Aqib Talib, Khalil Mack, Bobby Wagner, Pat McAfee. I mean, and
Pat
say what you want, Pat McAfee's a legend. Leave him alone.
He was a
But
punter. That's why he was a 2-star recruit.
but that's fine. But I mean, Aqib Talib, Khalil Mack, Bobby Wagner, Tom Brady, Antonio Brown. I mean, come on, man. I mean, listen, you can say whatever you want. Zach, you're missing the point. Zach, what about the virus? This and that. But what would football be, or what would these guys' lives be if they didn't get to play their senior season and Tom Brady never got a scholarship to Michigan?
Yeah.
Or Ben Roethlisberger never got to go to Miami of Ohio, or or Khalil Mack never got that Buffalo offer. Then what? What are they doing? They go to JUCO and they may or may not make it back to D1, or they don't get any offer at all, and then they're literally doing nothing. And listen, it's another, like I said, it's a cost benefit analysis, and when this age group is least affected by COVID, I think we need to try our best to put on a season because kids' futures are at stake here. I mean, and yes, they're kids, but like if you even interview some of the parents whose kids are borderline 2-3-star recruits and they might have a chance, I would guarantee most of the parents would be like, listen, I really need my kid to have a chance to get out of this situation.
Yeah.
I mean, Brandon, so neither of us were athletes. I mean, how expensive is school without an athletic scholarship that doesn't pay for anything?
Dude, it's not even imaginable.
And, And we've talked about this. Even we've talked about it with guests. I mean, some of these kids don't come from very good situations, and a lot of them don't. And we're gonna take that away. And listen, I'm trying to be as sensitive as I can about the virus and all this stuff. And it's not just because I want football, because I don't go watch high school football. I live in Manhattan, Kansas. There's some BS football up here. But for me, I really, really, really think we would be doing this class of kids and the next one a real disservice if we canceled high school football and those kids didn't get a chance to go to college, and we had a 1-2 star recruit who had NFL potential that just peaked at the wrong time. And listen, I don't mind the states such as Georgia and Texas where games are going to be pushed back till September and October. Just have a season, man. I mean, Brandon, do you care if Georgia starts in mid-August or early September? I bet you don't. You don't care. You play it in December. I don't care. Just allow the games to happen. But pushing it back also allows the school to prepare to keep the kids safe, which is important as well, and they need to do that. And I'm really, really interested to see what Alabama and Florida come out with on how to protect the kids and with coronavirus, because unlike college football, that you don't have a control over where they live. Like you can't make high school students stay on campus. You can't, but you can make them wear masks and all this stuff. So I mean, I think you would have to test them Wednesday before each game, just to like make sure. And
where are we getting the tests from though?
I'm assuming they have to be state funded tests. If I mean, that's the only thing I can imagine. I mean, bro, we're from Mobile. There's no way MGM is affording tests every Wednesday for the entire football team.
No, I mean that's what I'm saying. And think about like private schools, like small private schools. You think they can afford testing for every single player on the team?
Like Mobile Christian,
or Faith Academy. I mean, like. And for those of you who have no idea what's happening right now, these are schools that maybe have maybe 800 students. Like they're small. They're very small.
I think Mobile Christian's a 2A school, and I don't know face of 5A. I think
you're right, yeah,
or 4A. But listen, this is just for me and Brandon here. This is an inside moment. You know, Coach French got them kids out there right now as we're talking.
Oh yeah, I know. He's been out there.
He might be 85, but those kids are running right now. They're running those 120-yard sprints. He said, if you don't finish these in 3.2 seconds, we are running again.
He was out there in the middle of April with these kids. He didn't care. They were doing full time.
Oh, man. But, guys, moving the season to January is outrageous to me. I don't know what California's thinking. They're taking the Big Ten approach. They're trying to be first rather than right. And Brandon, okay, so, I stopped playing football before my senior season. You did not. I mean, how special was your senior year to you, looking back? And I mean, like, you weren't even like a 5-star recruit or anything like that, but like, how long have you played with some of your teammates that you played your senior season with?
No, I mean, you're definitely right. It was a special moment. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it was. I wish I was back there, but no. I mean, it was special, especially in the moment. You play like personally. I've played football. I played football from the time I was 5 years old until the time I was 18. And some of these kids I was playing with when I was 5 years old, and so yeah, it's very special. I can't even begin to describe it. I mean, some of my best friends were playing on that team with me, and guys that maybe I was really good friends with then that I haven't spoken to in years. But it was very special. So I get what you're saying. Even for players that aren't prospects, like, come on, it's special. Let's not disregard that.
Yeah, and then you're putting those kids in a position to either play their senior season with their best friends they might have been playing football with for years, or you have to make a business decision and go enroll early and fight for playing time for your freshman year, because those kids who early enroll have a much better chance to step on the field in the fall than the kids who wait till summer. I mean, that's what, if you early enroll, you get an extra like 20 practices.
Yeah,
That's amazing. And You don't think the schools lose money and support when players like Corey Foreman don't suit up?
Right. I mean, they do.
I mean, Brandon, so in Mobile, if there was a 5-star prospect playing on Baker High School's team right now, they would sell out that stadium.
Yeah.
Just for that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, they already do. But I mean, imagine if there's a kid, number one player in the country, and Corey Foreman playing defensive end.
I absolutely understand what you're saying.
I mean, all the money and like just attention that school gets, the school's losing out, the players losing out, the parents, everything. I mean, that moment on the field when you get to walk out with your parents and it's like you're introducing as a senior and you got your whole family there, man. That's a special moment. And you lose final experiences with childhood teammates and everything like I just said. And I think postponing a few weeks and aiming to play is the best choice here. I think Georgia and Texas did it best, where it's like, hey, give us a little bit more time to prepare. Let's get this in and get these kids a chance. And, but listen, this could be a good thing for college football. If high school starts working and these games are getting in and kids aren't getting infected, college football is a guarantee, guy. I'm just telling you, because college football has more resources, tighter control, more dedicated players, and more dedicated coaches and places to live and everything like that. I think if high school football can make it work, especially in the state of Alabama, college football is bound to happen, guys. So this is going to be a big thing, I believe, for college football, and to see how these high schools handle these training camps that are starting Monday.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting.
But guys, we're going to move on. Last segment of the day. Y'all already know what's coming, or if you're new, you'll learn what's coming. As we usually do, we're going to end the show off with an exclusive recruiting update. Check out episodes from like the last 3-4 months, and we have recruiting updates from all over the country, guys. Go find the podcast, old episodes, listen to them. But today we're going to head, like I said, way up north to analyze the Washington Huskies 2021 class. They're trying to follow up a top 2 Pac-12 class from last season. New head coach Jimmy Lake is looking to replace a legend and retired head coach Chris Peterson. The class is headlined with 7 top 500 recruits. Still early, guys. Recruiting is still going. The Huskies have plenty of spots open. So Lake and the staff are not done filling up, this class. But Brandon, what is your take on this class? And do you see Washington and head coach Jimmy Lake continuing their upward trajectory for competing in the Pac-12?
Well, Zach, I'll say this. I'm pretty mad at it because they have a 5-star recruit and LSU doesn't yet. And I'm upset.
Listen, I'm about to break that kid down. Like, y'all are going to know his social security by the end of this, man. This kid is elite.
Yeah, and this is a kid who is from Washington. That's why he's at Washington, which you can't even be mad at him for, but I can be upset, I guess. But that's one of their keys. They've been recruiting the West Coast like crazy, right? They have 7 recruits in Washington. They have 4 out of California. They pulled one from Hawaii, one from Texas.
That one's from Utah.
Right. And so, they're all over the place. And good for them. Apparently, Washington is much better in football than we all thought. Like,
oh no, there's some kids
for high school football, insane.
Yeah, these kids can ball up here, man. They're just up in the Northwest, and people forget about them. Everyone's just like, oh, Georgia, Florida, Texas. These kids in Washington are really, really good. Heward, the 5-star you talk about, is, I believe, the second or third best player in Washington?
He's number 3, but he's number 8 in the country.
That's what I'm saying. So Washington has 3 of the top 8 recruits in the country.
Exactly. I don't get it.
That's outrageous. But listen, guys, we're going to talk about Sam Heward. Like Brandon said, 8th overall. He's the number 1 pro-style quarterback out of Buren, Washington. I have no idea where that is. Don't ask me, because I'm going to need a map. But if you're looking for a surefire NFL quarterback, look no further than this kid right here. Brandon, already in his first 3 years of high school football, he already has thrown for over 11,000 yards.
That's crazy. It doesn't make sense.
in only 3 years. I mean, in last season, he threw for over 4,100 yards. Well, he threw for over 4,100 yards the past 2 seasons, and last year threw for 56 touchdowns with only 11 interceptions.
Right.
And man, okay, so how often do you see a freshman step into the varsity team and start at quarterback?
I'll take never.
This kid stepped in at quarterback, won the Max Preps National Freshman of the Year, and as a freshman threw for over 3,400 yards and 34 touchdowns.
Insane.
And this kid stepped on the field, Brandon, with 18-year-olds at 15 and was the best player on the field every single time he stepped on the field.
Right, absolutely. I mean, and you're telling me you think this guy goes back to college, or you think he goes back to high school if Washington pushes it to the spring?
Not a
we're taking it back
chance.
to the last segment.
Not a chance.
Okay.
And if he does, I need to talk to him because I mean, listen, he comes from an NFL quarterback bloodline. His father was an NFL QB. One of his uncles was an NFL QB, and the other uncle was a starting quarterback at North Carolina.
Right.
That's pretty good. My uncles are real cool, but none of them were NFL quarterbacks. But just watching this kid's film, his ability to move in the pocket while staying focused downfield and he can make any throw on the field. You need a deep pass, he's got you. A mid-range, got you. Short dump off, got you. I mean, I don't understand how this kid is already so advanced at this level. I mean, his football IQ is honestly the best in this class, but it's probably due because he has two NFL quarterbacks that he could just go to and be like, hey, I saw this coverage. Like, if this guy drops, what do I do here? I mean, that's why scouts love NFL players' sons, because they were taught from a young age, like, how to read coverages, how to play the game. And his ability to read defenses is why he's so good. I mean, do you think any high school defensive coordinator is going to throw anything at him that he doesn't already know what to do? Not even a chance. Not even a chance. And listen, guys, Heward, in my opinion, is going to start as a true freshman at Washington. And at that time, they are going to be an immediate Pac-12 contender. And by his senior year, he is going to develop into one of the best quarterbacks in the nation and be a Heisman threat. And Washington is going to be really, really good if they can surround him with more talent.
Yeah, they absolutely will. And I mean, it's hard to not when you're this. It's not even that he's like highly rated coming out of high school, but I mean, if you've seen this kid's film, it's abundantly clear from the first snap that this kid knows what he's doing, that his football IQ is just leaps and bounds beyond anybody else, like anyone else in this class.
I mean, after having Jake Browning and Jacob Eason, I mean, this kid's better than both of them as freshmen already.
There we go.
I really think that. I've watched the kid's film. I've read scouting reports, all this stuff. This kid is the real deal. And, I want to shift to another player to watch. This one's in the JUCO ranks.
Don't take it from me. Take it from me.
Go ahead. Quentin Moore. Talk about him, man.
I don't really want to talk about him. That he was my player to watch. He's a 3-star because he's coming out of JUCO. If you're a 3-star coming out of JUCO, that means you're really good.
That's like a 5-star.
Yeah. That means you're a 5-star if you're a 3-star coming out of JUCO. Where's he ranked nationally? He's so
nationally in JUCO, he's 4th.
He's 4th coming out of JUCO, which is insane.
He's the number 1 tight end.
Number 1 tight end coming out of Independence Community College.
Last chance you.
Or not Jason Brown anymore, but shout out to when he was there. Not even the new season, man. The new season's coming out soon. I know.
It's going to California.
Yeah. It's the last one apparently, so we'll see how it goes.
They should have went back to East Mississippi for one more season.
Saying it was so good. This is just turning into Last Chance You segment, but it was so good at East Mississippi, and I mean it was good in Independence, but I think it's just because Jason Brown made it good. In the last season, it was okay. It wasn't as good as
it almost. it's almost weird because it almost went just like a fiction um like show. It got to the point where it's like, are the producers just like out of their minds now? Like the
Yeah,
last season with him,
you can't
it was just like,
send
what?
you can't send Bobby home. You can't do that. Don't do that
Well,
to
I mean,
me.
like, I don't know, man. I've just felt like, so with like, okay, this is getting outrageous. Okay, we'll get back on the topic here in a second. But with like the East Mississippi, everyone's just seemed like genuine. Like it was just like, okay, like we don't even care about the cameras. Like we're just gonna do our thing. He always seemed like he was acting for the camera. It's like, yo, I gotta cuss out a player and I gotta try to act cool and I gotta slap another head coach. And it's like, what are you doing?
Well, that's why he doesn't have another job. That's why he's not.
Yeah, and then he said a tweet at the NCAA or tweet at Florida State and said they scared to hire him. Dude,
Yeah, I bet they are.
You went 2-8 in JUCO and started a brawl.
All right, guys. Well, after Zach and I spoke for a little while, we decided it would probably be better if we cut the discussion off right there. But yeah, I mean, he played at Last Chance U. We get it. We don't have to talk about it that much. But Quentin Moore is a stud on the field.
Yeah, that's an understatement, man. I mean, 6'5", 250. It's a matchup nightmare for DBs with his large frame, and he also has ridiculous speed for being that big, and it gives him the advantage if you match him up with a linebacker. Literally, you can line this dude up in the slot, outside, wherever you want, and he's gonna make a play. And his catch radius is elite. I mean, he does an amazing job of high pointing every single ball, especially in one-on-one situations. And his physicality helps there because this kid does not shy away from contact, and it makes him an excellent blocker out in space on screens and stuff like that. But man, guys, one look at the film and you're like, this kid's different.
He's different. Yeah, he's huge. He's physical, and I mean, he's exactly what Washington's going to need at tight end. I mean, this quarterback tight end combo is going to be unreal.
It's going to be elite. I mean, his aggressiveness makes him a huge asset in the run game too. I mean, if you watch his film, there's this it's either him mossing somebody or him pancaking somebody. That's it. That's the two things in his film, and he's a serious red zone threat. And whoever starts the quarterback, y'all know who I think it's going to be. This guy is going to be a problem in the red zone. I think they're going to use him similarly to how LSU is going to use Arik Gilbert, where they're going to line him up outside or in the slot in the red zone, and they're just going to say, hey, there's a ball up there. You're going to go and win that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 10 times out of 10.
So, Brandon, you stole mine last time. I'm taking the underrated prospect of this class first because I'm not letting you steal this one.
Mine was already Quentin Moore.
Oh,
he was
okay.
mine. So.
Okay. I don't know how you can be underrated if you're the 4th-ranked recruit in the country, but that's fine, man. I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide.
If you're a 3-star JUCO transfer, that's how.
Oh, man. You know who else was a 3-star JUCO transfer? Cam Newton, but I'll let it be. Listen, I've been excited a lot for some of my underrated recruits. This is literally my favorite part of the show, guys. But this kid is hands down my favorite, and that is Dyson Mccutchen. He's 659th overall, the 50th ranked quarterback out of La Puente, California. And listen, he is the son of Dalen Mccutchen, who played for USC and had a 7-year NFL career. And his grandfather, Lawrence, was a 5-time Pro Bowler for the Los Angeles Rams in the 1970s. So he has that background. He's a bit undersized. He's 5'10", 165, which is why he's so low, I guess, lowly ranked. He's overlooked by experts because of that. But what he lacks in size, he makes up for in talent and explosiveness. I mean, Mccutchen in his film, just go watch it. He plays running back, wide receiver, DB, returns punts and kicks for his team. He plays literally every position just about. And one look at the film and you'll see why Mccutchen's my pick here. The very first play in the film is him taking an opening kickoff back. He sees a hole and no one touches him. He takes it back like 90 yards, untouched. And there's multiple plays where he explodes on the ball, breaks it up, or if he takes a punt back too, there's multiple punt returns in his film. I mean, for a kid that's not even in the top 600, he had a longer tape than some 5 stars do. And
Yeah.
I think it's just because of his size. I mean, his ability to scan the field with the ball in his hands and know where that hole is going to be and know what defenders are going to do is what makes him a threat any time he's on the field. I mean, he reminds me so much of Deontay Pettis when he was at Washington returning kicks and punts. They play such similar styles on special teams, and I think that's why this kid is going to be special. Washington always has that guy who can take something back any single play, and that is this kid. Mccutchen, as a freshman, is going to be a huge factor on special teams, and he's going to have the ability to play either side of the ball. He said he prefers to play DB, and that's what Lake and this Washington staff has recruited him to do. His speed allows him to cover any wide receiver. He has an 11 flat 100-meter dash, and he may be small, but just watching the film, he's physical enough to really get receivers off their routes early. He's an amazing jam corner, and I think it's because he's so small that he can get up under wide receivers, and they just don't know what to do with him. And listen, the biggest thing for a DB, we talked about it with Minkah Fitzpatrick, and by no means am I comparing the two. Don't get me wrong there. But the thing they do have similarly is anytime Minkah Fitzpatrick touched the ball, that thing was probably going to go back to the end zone or he was taking it 20, 30 yards. And if Mccutchen gets his hands on the ball in an interception, it's probably going back for a touchdown. He probably has more talent than Minkah even did in taking the ball back. He has more ball skills than Minkah Fitzpatrick in that term, in that ability. And listen, this kid has a serious chance at the NFL, in my opinion. And I think he's going to be the next great Washington DB kick and punt returner. And I think he has the biggest upside of any undervalued recruit that we've covered on this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, Zach's very opinionated. I'm not going to say he's always right, but he's got his opinion, so we have to respect that.
I mean, listen, man. Did you watch this film?
No, I didn't.
Listen, after this podcast, we're gonna have a talk. I'm gonna send you the film of whoever I'm picking, so you can like back me up on here. Just the very first play, like I was going through the film of some of these underrated recruits, and I'm like, I don't know who I'm gonna pick. It came down to him or a defensive tackle that I saw that I really liked, and like the very first play I saw, man, he took that kickoff, and I was like, who is this kid? And it literally just kept getting better. I mean, for a kid that he committed to Washington, but then he started picking up offers from Michigan, Boise State, and some of these bigger programs. And I really think this kid is going to be one people look at, especially people like USC and Oregon that are like, man, we really should have reached out to this kid because we really missed on a good one here.
Yeah, fair enough.
And to be fair, guys, Pac-12 wide receivers aren't known for being the biggest. I mean, I think you can be 5'10". He needs to put a bit of a weight on, but you can be 5'10" and be an elite corner.
Yeah, for sure.
I think so, and I really, really like this kid, man. And the NFL pedigree only helps. But guys, that is a wrap on this episode. Brought it up to you on a Friday since we brought you the first episode on a Tuesday. But we're gonna get back on track next week. Monday, Thursday episode next week. We got some big announcements coming, man. Me and Brennan have been working real hard on some stuff that we're gonna roll out to you guys soon. I can't say too much yet because we're still in the works of some stuff, but just stay tuned for that. Social media, Twitter is at the __ Bluebloods. Instagram is at the _ Bluebloods. Facebook at the Bluebloods Pod. YouTube, the Bluebloods CFB Podcast. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out everything we got on there. You guys are great, man. I can't believe we're over 100 episodes, man. We're gaining support and subscribers and listeners every single day, and we got to shout out y'all for that, for spreading the word about us, man. You guys are the best listeners ever. But we'll be back next week, guys. Enjoy sports this weekend. I know me and Brandon, I'm probably going to watch more regular season baseball tonight than I have in my entire life, but it is what it is. But you guys keep listening, keep subscribing. We'll keep dropping episodes. You know how it goes. But for right now, we out.